respected Dr. Vitul Gupta, Dr. Sonia, Dr. Meghna, my dear colleagues and students, a very good afternoon to all of you. Today I will talk on anxiety disorders, their clinical features and management. Anxiety disorders are very common. Studies suggest that lifetime prevalence of anxiety disorder is roughly around 20%. Means every fifth patient suffers from anxiety in his lifetime period, whereas point prevalence is 10%. Despite this huge presentation of anxiety disorder patients, a very few number of patients present for treatment, as most of the anxiety disorders are having onset during childhood or early adolescent periods. So most of these patients do not achieve optimally in education, occupation and economic spheres of their life. As you know, in psychiatry we have two major classification systems. One is ICD and second is DSM. The recent addition of these, they have incorporated many disorders, whereas excluded few of these. Today I will keep my talk on 5 important disorders, that is panic disorder, agoraphobia, specific phobia, social anxiety disorder and generalized anxiety disorder. First of all, I will talk about clinical features of panic disorder, agoraphobia and specific phobia, their cognitive behavior therapy. Then social anxiety disorder is cognitive behavior therapy, generalized anxiety disorder, it's cognitive behavior therapy, and in the end, combined pharmacotherapy of these anxiety disorders. First of all, panic disorder. Panic disorder is characterized by recurrent unexpected panic attacks. Means for a patient to be diagnosed as suffering from panic disorder, there must be presence of at least 2 panic attacks. A single panic attack does not lead to a disorder of panic disorder. Panic attack is a discrete, that is definable period of time in which certain symptoms, they reach a peak within minutes and then gradually subsides. मतलब शुरू देने symptoms आते हैं फिर हौली-हौली चले जाते हैं. These are the symptoms: palpitations, pounding heart, accelerated heart rate, sweating, trembling or shaking, sensation of shortness of breath or smothering, chest pain or discomfort, feelings of choking, nausea, abdominal distress, chills or heat sensation, paresthesia, derealization, depersonalization, fears of losing control, fear of dying. Second important point is panic attack should be followed by persistent concerns about having additional panic attack. मतलब एक बार पेशेंट को पैनिक अटैक हो गया तो उन्हें बार बार ख्याल आते हैं कि मैंने दोबारा ना हो जाए. और देर अक्कर there significant maladaptive change in behavior related to the attack. That is, behaviors designed to avoid having panic attacks, such as avoidance of exercise or unfamiliar situations. This disturbance should not be due to direct physiological effects of a substance, that is drugs, or certain medical conditions. As we know, certain medical conditions like hyperthyroidism and cardiopulmonary condition, they can also present with panic attacks. This disturbance is not better explained by another mental disorder. Means panic attacks should not occur in response to feared social situations or in response to obsessions, dirt, as in case of OCD, or in the presence of traumatic images in case of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Then comes agoraphobia. Agoraphobia is marked fear or anxiety about two or more of the following situations. That is using public transportation, being in open spaces, being in enclosed spaces, standing in line or being in a crowd, or being outside of the home alone. Individual fear or avoid these situations because of the thoughts that escape might be difficult or help might not be available in case the patient experiences panicky anxiety. So these situations are dealt with extreme anxiety or with embarrassing features. These situations are almost always anxiety provoking, and these are actively avoided or require the presence of a companion. This fear should be irrational, that is out of proportion of the required situation. This fear, anxiety or avoidance is persistent and should last at least for 6 months. And importantly, like in other disorders of psychiatry, this should cause clinically significant discomfort in one's social, occupational and professional atmospheres. This disturbance should not be better explained by symptoms of another mental disorder, likewise OCD, PTSD or panic disorder. Agoraphobia was not a codable disorder in the previous editions. Means we were not classifying agoraphobia as a distinct entity, but in the recent one, agoraphobia is coded as individual disorder. The basic differentiating point between these two is in panic disorder, patient's concern is on his anxiety symptoms. That is, patient experiences increased heart rate, pounding heart, heart attack na ho jaye. Whereas in agoraphobia, his main concern is on the situations. भी जे ऐस सिचुएशन के विच मैनू एंजाइटी या पैनिक लाइक सिम्टम्स आ गए तो मेरी कौन सहायता करेगा और हाउ आई विल एस्केप फ्रॉम दिस सिचुएशन. Then comes specific phobia. Specific phobia is marked fear or anxiety about a specific object or situation. The phobic object or situation almost always provoke immediate fear or anxiety. We should also be able to differentiate between fear and anxiety. Fear is simply brain states associated with imminent danger, whereas anxiety is brain states associated with impending danger. For example, on seeing a lion, I became anxious, that is fear. If I am passing through a lonely place and is thinking about the coming of a lion, then this will be anxiety. Fear is imminent and has proximal stimulus, whereas anxiety is not immediate, it is pending, and here the stimulus is distant. This phobic object or situation is actually actively avoided or felt with embarrassing situation. Fear associated with out of proportion to the actual danger posed by the specific object or situation and is out of socio-cultural context. This fear is persistent, typically lasts for 6 months, and it should cause clinically significant impairment in one's social, occupational, and other important areas. Then coming to the instruments for assessing panic disorder, that is to assess whether patient is suffering from mild, moderate, or severe panic disorder or agoraphobia. We use physical sensation self-monitoring scale, severity measure for panic disorder scale, panic disorder severity scale, panic and agoraphobia scale, panic awareness or appraisal inventory, then weekly panic log, agoraphobic cognitions questionnaire, body sensations questionnaire, anxiety sensitivity index, and mobility inventory. With the help of these scales, we can classify whether patient is suffering from mild, moderate, or severe disorder, and accordingly we can plan cognitive behavior therapy. Then there are behavioral analysis of panic disorder. Nature, intensity, frequency, and duration of the symptoms are analyzed. Situations, triggers for the symptom, whether internal or external, they are analyzed. Feared consequences of the symptoms are analyzed. Factors that maintain the symptoms, history of any other mental illness or other physical illness in the family or patient of the patient, family or patient himself, that is noted. Then socio-cultural factors, relationships, support system, and expectations of the patient and family members from the treatment, they are noted. Attempts are made on individual basis to overcome the problem. Awareness regarding the problem and psychological interventions are told to the patient. Then coming to cognitive behavior therapy. Cognitive behavior therapy, it is based on cognitive emotion processing theory. It is a hypothesis according to which there exists a cognitive fear structure which represents stimulus, response, and meaning, and carries blueprints for the actions of escaping or avoiding the dangers. Means if the environmental stimulus is really harmful, then these structures, so-called hypothetical structures, they will react in a way which will be fruitful or productive for the person. If the stimulus is less harmful or it is wrongly interpreted, then these hypothetical structures, they get dysregulated, which results in anxiety disorder. So the steps, basic steps in cognitive behavior therapy are, first of all, patient's history is elaborative history is taken. His symptoms and concerns are noted. Patient is psychoeducated about the disorder and symptoms. Then the required cognitive restructural training in the form of improving cognitively wrong beliefs, they are addressed. Behavioral modifications, they are done, and in the last result of all these things is noted, and wherever the drawbacks are present, these are redressed so that the problem does not occur in future. This looks simple, but in fact it is very time consuming. So the basic steps are, first of all, therapeutic alliance is made. Patient is psychoeducated and psychoeducated about the problem, presenting cognitive behavioral therapy formulation, format of therapy sessions are told to the patient. Patient is advised to self-monitor his symptoms. Cognitive restructuring is done in the form of verbal and behavioral methods. Cognitive restructuring means, suppose a patient is suffering from panic attacks. भी उसनों लगता भी मेरा my heart is palpitations are there, भी मेरे heart attack होगा. He is told that these are duration based symptoms, these are not catastrophic. As these have come, these will go within minutes. Means these are not threat to one's integrity. Then modification of anxiety maintaining behaviors are done, homework for assignment are given, and patient is assessed periodically. Then comes generalized anxiety disorder. It is characterized by excessive anxiety and worry occurring more days than not for at least 6 months. Anxiety is about a number of events or activities. For example, one's daily activities, his work or school performance. Person finds it difficult to control the worry. This anxiety is associated with some of the following features, that is restlessness or feeling keyed up on the edge, being easily fatigued, difficulty in concentration, irritability, muscle tension, and sleep disturbances. This anxiety, it causes clinically significant distress or impairment in one's social, occupational, or other important areas. This should not be due to physiological effects of a drug or any other medical condition like hyperthyroidism or other mental disorder. If another medical condition is present, then the anxiety should be excessive, out of proportion. And one more feature is that this anxiety should not be explained by the symptom. Previously, it was not due to the mental disorder. Now, here it is due to the symptoms of another mental disorder. For example, anxiety should not be confined to specific phobia or situational type. Means the patient is suffering from dog phobia. Then anxiety should not occur only in the presence of dogs. GAD is assessed by GAD-7 scale, GAD severity scale, and Hamilton anxiety rating scales. Then the patient is again behaviorally analyzed for generalized anxiety disorder. Here, nature, intensity, frequency, and duration of the symptoms are assessed. Any deficits that contribute to worry, they are noted. Situations or triggers for the symptom, whether internal or external, they are noted. Feared consequences of the symptom, that is fear of losing control over thoughts or developing mental illness or physical illness like blood pressure and other health problems. Increased BP, vertigo, these are the general symptoms by which most of the anxiety disorder patient, they present to the OPD. The factors that maintain the symptom, that is avoidance, reassurance, safety behaviors, beliefs about need for control, and intolerance of uncertainty accompanied by family members. History of mental illness or any other physical illness is noted. Socio-cultural factors, relationships, support system, and expectation of the patient and family from treatment is noted. Attempts made by the individual to overcome the problem, awareness of the patient and significant others regarding the problem, and psychological intervention, they are noted. then the cognitive behavior therapy is initiated. Again, the principles are same. First of all, therapeutic alliance is made. His sources of symptoms, with the help of a diary, they are noted down. His cognitive coping mechanisms, they are noted. It is noted where these cognitions are at fault. Patient is taught about these abnormal beliefs, and then again the outcome of all these methods is noted. Then comes social anxiety disorder. Social anxiety disorder is characterized by fear or anxiety about one or more social situations in which the individual is exposed to possible scrutiny by others. For example, during social interaction, where patient have to interact or perform some activities, individual fears that he or she will act in a way or show anxiety symptoms that will be negatively evaluated. If the patient has to engage in these social situations, he will do so at the cost of anxiety symptoms or feel embarrassed. These social situations, they almost always provoke fear or anxiety. These situations, they are avoided or endured with intense fear or anxiety. This anxiety is out of proportion to the actual threat posed by the social situation. It is persistent. That is, it should last at least for 6 months so as to make a diagnosis of social anxiety disorder. It should cause clinically significant impairment in one's social, occupational, or other important areas of life. This anxiety should not be due to any other drug of abuse or any medical condition or mental condition. If another medical condition like Parkinson's disease or disfigurement from burns or injury, then this anxiety should be excessive. Again, the steps involved are same. Basic difference in cognitive behavior therapy in all these disorders is cognitive restructuring. Means patient ਦੇ गलत विश्वास ਜਿਹੜੇ गलत belief है वो किस जगह ਦੇ बारे है, those beliefs they are readdressed. For example, see a patient who is showing anxiety symptoms in a crowded place. He can be a patient of social anxiety disorder. He can be a patient of PTSD. It is the explanation which patient gives. Those explanations, they are addressed, they are corrected. Generally, patient use overgeneralization. एक ने धोखा देता सारे जन ही धोखा देंगे, या एक जगह पे मैं सफल ही हुआ कितने भी नहीं सफल होना. These cognitive beliefs, they are corrected. Then coming to pharmacotherapy. In general, SSRI are the treatment of choice. SSRI in the form of escitalopram, fluoxetine, paroxetine. These are started in low doses and then gradually increase till the desired results appear. We can use SNRI like duloxetine, venlafaxine, desvenlafaxine. Reversible inhibitors of MAO, that is moclobemide, it can also be used. If we are using moclobemide, then we should know about cheese reaction. At least 2-week interval, washout interval should be observed. We can use low doses of newer antipsychotics like quetiapine. Anticonvulsants in the form of pregabalin can also be used. In severe cases, benzodiazepine can also be used, but these should be tapered off once patient becomes free from anxiety symptoms, as these have a abuse potential. Thank you.